On my way back home, back to Brunswick, races are over. I got dirt everywhere. Not a bad day. We had our low points today. You know, they don't update the fairs, so I don't get to see the fair on the calendar. But I was updated pretty quickly. Cody had left out with Sunset Acres Girl and made a break in the biggest race of her life. Jesus. Not what you wanted to see, you know, between hearing that news and watching Gaslight Hall get interfered with in a race he had to win, which he was going to jog. At that moment, and then they happened close enough, I was in the car in between races, and the cursing that went on in this car, it's a wonder the car didn't blush. When I get out, I was not fit to be around for a good 10 to 12 minutes at Northfield. I can tell you that right now. It's one thing when a horse races bad. It's another thing when a horse races good and gets hooked in a just a stupid, needless way. Sure, Bobby can back out and hooked him, but James maybe. If I'd have done that, I'd be like, I should have known better. And I should have. James is a much more professional driver than me. I'm calling it 90-10 for Bobby. Either way, it happened. It's done. There's nothing I can do about it. And I'm just going to have to live with it. Much like all my partners are going to have to live with Sunset Acres Girl making a break. There's not much we can do about that. Somebody said she never runs. Hold on. She made 2 breaks this year. Right? For sure. So it's not like she never runs. She hasn't been running. She rarely runs. That's a fair statement. Never runs would not be completely accurate. Running in races that you're only going to get to race in one time is extremely frustrating. So those were probably the lowest points of the day. I know Green Glitter had made a break, and Scotty said she wouldn't trot after that, and he pulled her up. Low point, Rosetta finishing last. Low point, both those fillies are going to the field right now. There's nothing you can do about that. Very immature on their parts, both of them. Mentally, I think both of them understand their work and have made choices to do it okay. That's not true. Rosetta has done her work well. She just needs to understand she has to put in a full effort all the time, right? Whether it was that good day with her hormones where she was a complete lunatic, or whether she cleared to the front in her first start down there and then kind of kicked it into neutral and allowed somebody to come back on and beat her. Or whether it was today, they just went fast in front of her and she's like, I'm just going to follow today. It's not very often you see a 2-year-old trotting filly go from being crazy 2 weeks ago to extra docile 2 weeks later. That's how she looked today, and that's how Eric explained it. He said she was actually too quiet today. Well, I have never seen that with her. So 2 very different reasons, actually. Green Glitter going to the field, and also Rosetta going to the field. Just need to mature. Both of them need to grow up. It's pretty obvious. The other 2 raced good. Grand Slam Dio, I thought, raced well. I expected a little bit more out of her today. Jody doesn't really maybe know her, but I don't see an area in the way he drove her where you'd say, maybe just because he didn't know her, he didn't do it. Looked to me like he gave her a pretty perfect trip. And she just seemed so-so. So-so. I still think there's a much better horse in there. She's definitely matured her. She understands her work. She feels like she's doing her work to the best of her ability. She's bred well, looks great. So at the very least, I'm happy to say that I'm pretty sure she's going to be a really nice 3-year-old. But I would like to see her be a little better 2-year-old. Yeah, that's a fair statement. Jim Breeze certainly put it all together. Overcame that bleeding. Eric and Kathy have done a great job cleaning that up and allowing her to race in a way that she's not bleeding. Jody drove her perfect too. I tried to explain to him, I said, listen, I don't want to see don't underdrive her on my account, but don't overdrive her. Just drive her. And he drove her perfect. Got away 4th, stocked. And of course, Calvin Burrell there get up the inside and won the race. She did a lot of the work and raced great. Sprinted down the lane, finished second in 54-4, and looked very, very good doing it. So pretty pleased with two of the fillies, very disappointed with the other two. Rosetta really didn't do a whole lot wrong today. She just did not do enough right. It's the easiest way to put it, I think. So Kentucky was, half of them were good and half of them were not so good. Then we went to, now of course, we already talked about the qualifiers today. Thoroughly pleased with Casanova Hall. We are going to list Dave Miller on him first, just because he knows him. And if he has another horse in there or isn't coming, then I'm sure Mark will be there. We're going to list Mark on Country Dancing. As I told everybody, am going to the Cleveland Browns game. My wife, Amy, is a huge Dallas Cowboys fan. I'm indifferent to both teams, but I've never been to an NFL game, and I would like to see one. Cleveland was playing their season opener against the Cowboys. And one of our clients, Randy, was nice enough to give us some tickets, so I hope he gives them to us, because I'd rather not pay for them. So we finished the earlier part of our day. Century Legion was great. I was just about to talk to him. He was not great. Casanova Hall was great. Insider Trading was very good. And Tenacious Hanover schooled very well. I'm pretty sure I talked about him earlier. I schooled him in 53 today. He's ready to go for Monday at the Poconos. Now on to the latter part of the card. Century Legion, as I just said, did not race well. I know exactly what happened. I know that James and Dominic didn't really know what took place. Just got on the line, hard down the lane. We've seen this before. If you guys remember back to when we had the V Martingale on Wallop, what we started wearing on the lines are, I guess there's saddle horse people wear them on their lines so they're, I don't know, something doesn't fall forward. It was the girl here, actually, that had them on our lines. The outrider, Nadine. She said, he put these on there. She put them on. What happens is, when the horses get their head down, usually the V martingales, to keep them from throwing their head, they'll still get their head up a little bit, but if they finally relent and they put their head where it's supposed to be, what can happen is, especially if the buxton isn't tight underneath, that V martingale will fall forward, and what can happen is that ring of the V martingale can actually get hooked in the line. Now, as a driver, it just seems like the horse is paralyzed on the line. He can't drive, and he's going across the track, or the other way for Wallop, which was even more scary. And then what will happen, before you can pull the horse up, or before you can actually inspect what took place, it's now unhooked, and it's maybe slid back. And you can't really see what just took place. But I watched that on view, and I watched him go across the track, and I'm pretty sure I know what I saw. Now, having said that, he was done. He had no more go. Extremely disappointing situation for a horse that just came out guns a-blazing in his qualifier back in June. Won by 12 lengths in 2 minutes. Looked like a gold colt. And then just couldn't keep it all together. Made a couple of breaks, got hot. Just did not keep it all together. So, we've done vet work on him. We've changed his shoes. I thought he looked relatively sound tonight. I didn't see any lameness issues. And if anything, he runs in, he doesn't run out. I think he just needs to go to the field. Now, does that mean he comes back in the winter and goes south with us to race at the Meadows or Northfield? Maybe. I don't know yet. But I know there's a lot of people, including one of my partners, Daryl, who had high hopes for him. And we all have our hopes crushed sometimes. This is a hope-crushing industry. And just squeeze the soul out of you sometimes. I get it. I've been there. I was there. And I'll tell you about it in just a minute. But I would like to have the horse short rest, bring him back, and get him going. That horse that qualified in 2 minutes, jogged. He's in there. I don't know why he decided not to re-emerge after that qualifier. But it's up to us to find out why. Bring him back. Get him going forward, and that's exactly what we'll plan to do, as we bring him back in the winter. Now, we got to the latter part of the program, and it was quite a bit different. We finished the program and the night off with a bang. The only thing that went wrong was, as I said, Sunset Acres Girl had made a break. I was informed of that at the almost within moments of Gaslight Hall getting hooked up and getting all screwed up, and I could have literally lit the car on fire. I was so mad at that very minute. I was boiling. Gaslight Hall wins. He's in the grassroots final. He can go to Kentucky with a couple of real good preps under his belt. Now, he's got to face some killers, but he also gets a race for 400. Bring him back, race him in the grassroots final, where now he's got some real experience and he should be really good. Then if we want to, down to Corbin. Yes, a little bit of traveling, but he's a pretty easy shipper. Instead, I don't think he makes the final now. I'm sure he makes a consolation. But do we even come back for the consolation when we're racing in Kentucky and we have Corbin ahead? I don't know. We're going to find out. But he does. They do write a Wildcat race. Guarantee it. The only horse racing a Wildcat and then racing the final. Guarantee it. Wildcat would be like a prospect. Numbers 12.5. He's got 10.5 US made. So he can theoretically on the 9th race in a Wildcat and then come back 6 days later and race in the $400,000 final in Lexington. So I have rejigged his plan of attack, our plan of attack with him. We'll see how that plays out. Watch out for wheels. Aunt Lily jogged, went to the front, won very, very easily. 57, wrapped up, earplugs in. That's how it was supposed to go. Freedom Hill got to the front, cheated a little bit. I heard Ronnie Gillespie, really the only horse that could, on paper, challenge Freedom Hill. He's on the run in the first turn. It's the way the cookie crumbles. I just slammed the brakes on. You know, this filly's been through a lot, had a rough start, her last start in Scioto with that bad finish. I just walked them over the half and won one in a piece. At that point, she's a sprinter too. I think I'm just saying to myself, there's no way that anybody's going to be able to trot with her when I cut her loose, and they weren't able to. She won also. I just asked her to trot the last 16th. She won in 2 minutes. Wrapped up, earplugs in. Looked great. Lover's Play did not win wrapped up or have the earplugs in. She was not good tonight at all. Not good. But she won. Winners win, as we say. And hopefully she comes out. Did she tie up? Was she sick? John Lazek, I doubt she bled a little bit. But if she did have mucus, there could be some flecks of blood in there. And she doesn't do her best work on the front anyway. She's up in class now where we can kind of cover her up a little bit also. At the end of the day, she didn't race great, but she still got the W. And then I'm Fancy Like closed it out for us. She was awesome. We didn't lose her, but if we keep her in there, we will. Here's the thing. I'm not hiding I'm Fancy Like. Somebody said, well, we can obviously bring her back and race her in Delaware in the Buckeye. No. Because if she draws in with some of the tougher fillies and then draws the outside, what we've done is shipped her back from Yonkers to race her at 25-1 where she can't do, right? And then, 4 weeks later, she fits the consolation. But that's 4 weeks later. We get to race for good money now, right now, every week. And unless we can come up with a place where she can race right here easily and win, she's probably going to go right back in the claimer next week. And we'll likely lose her. And that's the reality of it. But we're not going to race our horses where they can't do. None of them. Certainly not Fancy. I like the filly a lot. She might end up being a really nice 4-year-old. I have no idea. But for right now, here are the avenues we have. In front of us, there's one. Now, if we find a couple more, fine. We'll look. But outside of that, she is what she is. So, thoroughly happy for the most part with the day. Kicked off the day great in the morning. 2 great qualifiers and a fantastic schooler. That set up the rest of the day. It was not perfect. Rosetta was flat and was last. Green Glitter was up to her shenanigans and got pacey and made a break and then wouldn't trot for Scotty. He was not happy. Grand Slam Deal raced pretty good for Jody. Jody drove Jim Bree. Drove all our horses great in Kentucky. Drove Jim Bree fantastic. A big mile from her. Century Legion, done for the season. Just very disappointed with the entire output from this guy all year long. But that was it. The rest of the night was aces. 2 fillies jogged. Lovers Play got the job done. Gaslight Hall would have jogged, but hooked the wheel. And that was something. What kind of poise did he show? Hooked the wheel, kind of stopped to look around who just mugged him, right? Did anybody get that license plate? And then kind of shook his head off, tried to back through. Just beat for second at the wire. Huge effort from him. And I'm fancy like with a big effort also to be second. So 3 wins, a second and a third to close out the night. But a few inches here, less of a hooked wheel there. We could have closed it out with 5 wins. So could always be better, but it could always be worse. A great day at the office. Tomorrow morning, I'm off to the Meadows. We got Manhattan Money picked to win. I believe he's picked to win. Foxy Seaside is picked to win. Widespread Panic's got a shot. I can tell you that. Then I make my way back to Northfield Park. I got a couple of drives in the Trot Buckeyes for other people. Mountaineer Prince is going to race. Chime Bell is going to make her appearance for us. First appearance for us after the races being canceled last week. Lonely Lakewood's back in action after us retaining him out of the preferred sale. And Rose Run AJ, unfortunately, has drawn the 8-hole in the Buckeye tomorrow night at Northfield Park. But double duty again for me tomorrow. It's midnight now. I'm going to call it a night, win, and climb into bed. See if I can't have a good night's sleep and get up sharp in the morning. Take care.